He is from Buddhist Studies Department, Banaras Hindu University. Professor Kumar, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Most respected Chairman, Professor Sujin Bose, Co-Chair Dhamma Pandit Hing, Reverend monks and distinguished delegates coming from different parts of the world. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to share with some of my thoughts related with the study of the education system in India and Cambodia. So within a very limited time, within 10 minutes, I have to summarize all these things. I have there about 20 minutes at least. So I will summarize that what is the meaning of the concept of education and how it is developed in India and how the thoughts of education was transmitted to Southeast Asian countries and how ethical norms and the character development were transmitted to all countries, especially in Cambodia.
Professor,
So
you use the...
I am going to speak in very first of all that education is made up of the Greek word or Latin word educare, which means to bring forth, and literally it means to make development of the character development and to develop the moral ethical norms in a personality of a being. So education is an effective mode of communication to transmit the ethical norms among the people of the society. You also has said that education is nothing but it is the development from the man, nature and environment. Again, this explaining the concept of education, Pessoa has stated the three concepts of H, that is the development of the head, heart and hands. Here, the development of head signifies the development of the knowledge. The development of the heart deals with the related with the, you can say, attitude, and the development of hands signifies the development of the skills. So these are the three concepts related with this pastoral concept. We are also having the concept of education in Buddhism. There are three terms: Sunatha, Charatha, and Charata Bhikkhave. So here, Sunatha is listen it carefully. Dharatha means digest it properly. And Charata Bhikkhave, that preach among the people of the society in a very proper manner. So these are the three terms related with the Buddhism. But coming to the technical term, there are three terms which are related with our education, that is the Sikha, Vinaya and Yana. So here Sikha is in the sense of the trainings. Again in the text Visuddhimagga Mahatika, Sikha has been defined as a Sikkhanam Chet Asevanam Dakkhappam. That trainings are which may be repeated again and again for making discipline way of manner or attitude. So here again Sikha has been defined by so many scholars. Once in an international conference, Professor Anil Sakya was explaining the term concept of education, that Sayam Ikkati, that Sikha is in the sense of seeing itself or self, or in the sense of Samma Ikkati, that is one who sees it in a proper manner or right understanding. That is the sense of Sikha here. But Sikhas are the sense of the trainings which make a disciplined person. Vinaya is in the sense of curtailing the physical and the vocal misdeeds, or you can say development in a disciplined manner. And here Yana is in nothing but the development of the right understanding, or the, you can say, wisdom, makes the knowledge of the Four Noble Truth or knowledge of the law of dependent originations and other things. So these are the three things which are related with the Buddhism. Coming to know that how we are, this education system was developed, Mahabharata enumerates that there are 5 lineages which later developed as a Bihar and Mahabihar. The 5 lineages are the Adajog, Pasad, Hamir, Kuti, and Bihar. And these lineages were developed as a, you can say, Bihar or Mahabihar. And Bihar were the centers for the scriptural trainings, and Mahabihar became the later, you can say, development of the center of higher learning. So the Mahabihar later, I am coming in a very brief manner. So this, there was in the Gurukul, only the Brahmanas were admitted to join the Gurukul. But here in the Mahabihar, there was only system of any caste, color or creed without having any distinction. Anyone can join the Mahabihar. And in the Biharaj, Brahmins were also taking admissions. And Biharaj were built nearby the villages so that education may be imparted to the people of the society. And Mahabihar developed out of Bihara. We are having the references that how Mahabihar were developed as a Bihar. And we are also having a concept of Mahallak Bihar, that there was a great Bihar. And we are having the references that how Buddha encouraged the traders and other, you can say, affluent persons or rich persons to donate Bihar or Mahabihar to the Sangha. So earlier reference we are having in the Pacharya and the Chulabagga, the concept of Mahabihar. If there is a development that they can open somewhere, Satras Vagya Bhikkhu, Panchataram Mahabiharam Viharati. So we are having the references in the Samanpasadika also, we are having the references of Mahabihar. And then in Taranath reference in the history of Buddhism in India, we are having the concept of Mahabihar. And then Audani Kalpalata. And these are the references where Mahabihar was in the Siloniti Chronicles. We are also having it in name of Mahabihar Vasis. So this Mahabihar became the centers of the higher learning of the, you can say, knowledge. So we are coming to the So here, now I'm coming to the introduction of Buddhism to China. That how Buddhism introduced in the Southeast Asian country. When it was many, you can say, theories have been developed. So when Buddhism was developed in Cambodia, the Buddhist system of education was also transmitted to this country. The method of the teaching and the learning was carried out in the traditional way in the monasteries, whatever we are having in the Mahabihar. So again, this at the time of Hunan, Sanskrit-based Hinyan Buddhism was flourishing condition under the royal patronage of Kushan dynasty, and it will spread to the local norm as recorded by the Taranath. During Hunan period, Buddhist monks were highly educated and engaged in translating Buddhist texts, which was also a part of Buddhist education. In Mahabihar, there was so many, you can say, trainings, and there was one duty to compose the Shastras in the Mahabihar. So here in Cambodia also, the translation of the text and composing of the new text were developed. As Kalyan Kumar Sarkar observes that Buddhism could flourish only under the royal patronage, and it is well known that most of the ancient Cambodian rulers were protagonists of Brahminical Hinduism. Besides the introduction of Buddhism and Buddhist doctrine in ancient Cambodia was to a great extent, there were three factors. Due to the Chinese Buddhist monks went in search of the law of country, of the Buddha, and second to the Indian Buddhist monks who came to East Asian countries to propagate the law, and third also to the sea merchants. Kalyan Kumar Sarkar again has shown the presence of Mahayana Buddhism to Hunan as early as the end of the 5th century AD. and it is probable that a great Buddhist canon had been propagated in ancient Cambodia since the beginning through the intermediary monks who were the passers-by. According to Mr. Silvan Levy, Savagism, Pessimism, like Buddhism, were also there as a particles of importation foreign to the country. The kings, the court, the nobility could adopt them as elegant and refined culture. It was not a civilization which had penetrated into the depth of the masses. There were various literary traditions in ancient Cambodia. It is important to note that agents of literary division were always the Brahmanas, sometimes undoubtedly the seminaries, the called the Vidyas, ashrams in the different parts of the country were the centers of literary activity dominated by the professors and other dignitaries. I am coming to the last part. And so this Buddhist system of education in Cambodia brings forth firm ground on the Buddhist canonical text and memorization. Now the question arises that whether this Buddhist education gives critical analysis and application of those texts in a real life situation. There is another aspect that where there is promotion of critical analysis of Buddhist texts and reconstruction of the Buddhist teachings, there is no more personal transformation and getting a state of eternal bliss. Rather, it becomes a tool for transforming Buddhism as an academic discipline or excellence. So there is a need of the society to follow the pre-modern Buddhist system of education. This is the